Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving deep, really deep into the psychology of money, like not just the numbers and spreadsheets, but like the really human stuff. And for this deep dive, we've got Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money as our guide. So get ready, because we're going to uncover how everything like those hidden money rules we get from our families, our past experiences, even just plain luck, can play into our financial lives.
It's wild how much of what we do with money we think is, like, totally logical, you know? But really, it's all tied up with our own personal stories.
Right. And the source jumps right into this whole idea that like our relationship with money, it doesn't start when we get our first paycheck or anything. It's like family dinners, the values our parents passed down, maybe even some like unspoken money anxieties we picked up along the way.
Yeah.
All part of our financial DNA, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. For you, you lived through the 2008 recession. How do you think that, I don't know, changed how comfortable you are with risk? I mean, compared to someone who, say, started investing during the dot-com boom, those experiences, they stick with us.
Yeah, totally. Like the source says, someone who was like an adult in the 80s during that boom might be all in on the stock market now. But someone who lived through 2008 when everything crashed, they might be way more cautious.
Exactly. And neither one's right or wrong, It's just about recognizing that we all come to this with, like, our own baggage, our wins, our hang-ups, how our families dealt with money. It all comes to the table.
Oh, for sure. Like my grandparents, they were kids during the Depression. And man, they were so frugal, even when they had money later on, like anxious about spending it, even on things they needed.
See, that's a perfect example. That's that financial DNA in action. And it's not about judging, it's about being aware of it. Like, what beliefs about money are just kind of ingrained in us, and how's that affecting our choices today?
Okay, so our relationship with money is personal. Got it. But what about those, like, investing legends we always hear about? Warren Buffett, Jim Simons, those guys. Is it all just like being born at the right time with the right financial DNA?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting, right? Because, yeah, our background plays a role, but the source uses these, like, investing superstars to show there's a few other things going on. Like, take Warren Buffett. The guy's brilliant, sure, but that wealth, I mean, we're talking $81.5 billion, and he earned that after he turned 65.
Get out.
Seriously.
Yeah. And it just shows the power of time and compounding. The guy started investing as a teenager. Whoa. Okay, so it's not just about picking the right stocks. It's about starting early and letting it grow.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying that if you didn't start investing in high school, you've blown it. But it shows how much time is on your side when it comes to money. The earlier you start, even with small amounts, the more time it has to, like, potentially snowball.
Makes you kind of wish you could go back in time and give your younger self some stock tips. But the source, it also talks about Jim Simons, another super successful investor.
Oh, yeah, Simons. He's fascinating. This guy, he's got this whole mathematical approach to investing, and he's pulled off some incredible returns, like consistently averaging 66% annually since, get this, 1988.
Okay, that's just showing off.
Right. But here's the thing. He started later in life. So even with those insane returns, his net worth, way lower than Buffett's, like 75% lower.
See, that puts it into perspective. Simons is obviously brilliant, but even with those returns, he can't make up for the decades Buffett had for his investments to compound.
Exactly. It hammers home the point that, look, we may not all be math geniuses or stock-picking savants, but time, that's a powerful tool we've all got. But the source doesn't stop there. It brings up another thing that's honestly often overlooked when we talk about building wealth: luck.
You're telling me it's not always about being smart or disciplined or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time. Like that story about Bill Gates in the source.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. It's, what, 1968? How many high schools do you think had access to a computer back then?
Probably like a handful.
Exactly. And Bill Gates just happened to go to one of them. I mean, that's a massive head start in the world of technology, right? Makes you wonder how many other brilliant minds are out there who just, I don't know, didn't get that lucky break, didn't have that, like, perfect storm of circumstances working in their favor.
It's a good reminder to stay humble, for sure. Like, we can't control every little thing, no matter how much we try. And speaking of things we can't control, the source, it dives into the whole concept of risk.
Yeah.
It's something a lot of people try to avoid, especially with their money. But is that always the right move? What does the source say about that?
Well, the source, it makes this this comparison between investing and, like, climbing a mountain. Both have their risks, right? You can't get to the top without, expecting a few bumps along the way.
So it's about accepting those bumps, those risks, as part of the deal, especially if you're in it for the long haul.
Right. The source is saying that, like, the price you pay for those sweet, sweet returns is accepting that things are going to be unpredictable sometimes. Volatility is part of the game, especially over time. Try to time everything perfectly, avoid every little dip. You're probably going to miss out on the big wins.
Yeah, makes sense. Like you can't, have a rainbow without a little rain, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of the long game, the source, it doesn't shy away from the big questions. Like, what's the point of all this wealth if we're miserable? What's the key to actually being happy?
Well, it comes back to something we talked about earlier, control. But it's bigger than just your finances. It's control over your time, over your choices. Like, imagine doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. That's what the source is saying is the real wealth. It's not just the money, it's the life you get to live because of it.
Right. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in chasing the money that we forget to, like, actually live our lives. We
Right.
trade our time, our relationships, our passions, all for this idea that more money equals more happiness.
It happens all the time. And the source, it digs into this thing called the hedonic treadmill. Basically, we get used to things. We get a new car, a bigger house, whatever, and we're happy for, what, a minute? Then it's just normal. We want the next thing.
Totally. It's like you get the newest phone, you're super excited for a week.
Yeah.
Then it's just your phone. You're already looking at what's coming out next.
Yeah.
So how do we get off this treadmill?
$1 million question, right? And there's no easy answer. But the source, it suggests that maybe it's about, like, figuring out what's enough for you. It's about being content with what you have, appreciating it instead of always chasing the next thing.
It's tough though, right? It's like we're wired to want more.
It is, but think of it this way. Constantly chasing more. That's not freedom. You're always
Yeah.
tied to this cycle of wanting and needing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not about like depriving yourself. It's about being in control, making sure your spending lines up with what you actually care about, not just what everyone else is doing.
That's it.
Mm.
Like, remember how we talked about financial DNA? Well, the source is saying we got to look at our success DNA too. Like, those ideas we have about success, where they come from, are they even what we really want? Those external markers of wealth, the fancy cars, the McMansions, all of that, do they actually equal joy and fulfillment?
It's so true. It's like that saying, wealth whispers. It's not about being flashy. It's about having the security to do what you want, pursue your passions, be with your people, give back. That's what matters in the end, right?
Exactly. And building that kind of wealth, that sense of security and freedom, it usually means doing things a little differently than what we're told. Thinking long term, being okay with delaying gratification, and tuning out the pressure to keep up with the Joneses. Remember Warren Buffett. It's about playing that long game.
And speaking of long games, the source, it also dives into these things called tail events and how they play into building wealth. What are tail events? They sound kind of scary, honestly.
Oh, not scary, more like surprising. So a tail event is like this rare, totally unpredictable thing that happens and has a huge impact. The source uses the example of this art dealer, Heinz Bergerman. He made a fortune buying up art, a lot of which wasn't considered that valuable at the time.
Okay, so what happened? Did you get lucky?
Well, kinda. A few of those pieces, they ended up blowing up in value. Like, we're talking works by Picasso, Matisse, big names. And it wasn't necessarily that he knew they'd be worth a fortune. It was more like right place, right time, a stroke of luck that had a massive impact on his wealth.
So these tail events, they're those unexpected things that, while rare, can totally change your financial trajectory.
Exactly. And it's not just art. Think about venture capitalists, right? They invest in tons of startups. Most go nowhere, but a few. They become Google, Apple, Amazon. Those huge wins overshadow all the losses.
It's about taking smart risks, being in the game, and being ready for those big wins, even though they're not guaranteed.
Exactly. It's another part of recognizing that building wealth, it's not always predictable. Luck, good or bad, plays a role.
This deep dive has been like eye-opening. We've covered so much how our past shapes our money mindset, the power of time, how luck factors in, those unpredictable tail events. And you know what? It's made me realize that being good with money, it's not just about being good with numbers. It's about understanding yourself, those biases you bring to the table, and what really matters to you.
Totally. It's recognizing that your financial journey, it's personal. Shaped by like a million things, some you control, some you don't.
It's like we're seeing the tip of the iceberg here, though.
Yeah.
What happens when like our values around money, that financial DNA, bump up against, the real world? a world that doesn't always reward those values?
Ooh, now that's a good question. And the source really gets into it. It talks about this tension between our own choices and the systems we live in. Systems that honestly don't always have our best interests at heart.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a whole other conversation. Ready to dive into that. So we're diving into those choppy waters now, huh? Where our own values about money, that financial DNA, kind of crash into like the realities of the world.
And it gets messy, right? The source, it's honest about that. Like
Yeah.
those choices we make about saving, investing, even just spending, they're all happening in this bigger system. And that system, it's not always on our side.
It's like you're trying to budget, right? Be responsible. Then bam, there's a million ads telling you you're nothing without the latest gadget, the designer, everything. It's hard to resist that, you know? That pressure to consume, to keep up, even when, deep down, it's not what really matters.
Oh, it's a constant battle. And the source, to be fair, it doesn't blame people for making, quote unquote, bad financial decisions. It's saying the game's kind of rigged sometimes. The system pushes us towards short-term thinking, instant gratification.
So what do we do? Just give up? Like, oh, well, the system's broken, might as well join them.
No way. It's about knowing the game,
Right.
being aware, and then making choices within that. Be a little skeptical of the messages you're getting. What does success really mean to you? Figure that out, and then make your decisions based on that.
Like we were saying before, defining your own enough. And that's not about like living like a monk or anything. It's about making sure your spending is intentional. It reflects your values, not just what everyone else is doing or what you think you should be doing.
Exactly. Remember, true wealth, it's not just about how much money you've got. It's about the life you build with it, your relationships, the impact you have, the things that make life rich.
It's about finding that balance, right? Where your money decisions, they're not just good for your bank account, they're good for your soul too. Man, this deep dive, it's really got me thinking. We've unpacked so much. Those hidden forces that drive our money decisions, the power of time, that wild card of luck, even just figuring out what really matters.
It's a journey, right? And hopefully this gets people asking those big questions. What's my definition of wealth? What's that stuff from my past I need to unpack? How do I make choices that line up with what I actually care about?
Big questions, for sure, but important ones. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the psychology of money. And until next time, remember, your financial journey, it's yours to define. Don't let anyone tell you what success has to look like for you.